Welcome to part two of my journey with the fear of rejection. I am Ade Anifuwishi, and if I was to give you a title, I don't know if you didn't watch part one, then you may not understand what I'm saying here. But go and watch it if you feel led to. But if I was to give you a title, I would say today I am Ade Anifuwishi. I am a transformational guide. And maybe part two, part three, well, part three, four, five. I don't know how many parts this is going to be. As I shared in one, I'm going to break this up into about 10-minute segments. So, my parents found in part one, I talked about the beginning, in the beginning, my beginning story. So, they found the second nanny who lived in Hastings, Pat. And they felt comfortable enough to leave me with her. And I mean leave me there with her because that meant I was going to be staying in Hastings and my parents live in London. It's about an hour and a half. For those in America, you say, oh, that's not that far. But over here, it's a distance. It's quite far. Hastings is not a place you go to on a regular basis or anything, that kind of journey, because the roads are different. So you don't just get on a highway and drive for an hour and a half. There's a lot of twists and turns. Anyway, Pat is a white woman, and Hastings was a town that was mostly white as I look up to the pictures. Actually, you know what? I am going to show you pictures because I think it's important. I wasn't thinking about that. Okay, hold on one second. Wow. As I shared in part one of this story, it was an inner nudge that I heard while I was in the shower. And I don't take those messages lightly, whether I'm in the shower or not. And I'm beginning to feel and see that this is going to take a turn that I didn't even think about. So, talking about my parents. Um, this is my biological mom, Esther Osho Anifuwishi. She's no longer in a physical body. This is me, I don't know, 2 years old, 3 years old. I have no idea. Yeah, I know. Look how cute I am. Look at those chubby cheeks and their chunky legs. And this is Pat carrying me, my nanny. Yeah, again, maybe I was one or something. I don't know. I wasn't thinking about sharing that, but there it is. So I was with Pat for I don't know how long, but my father said after a while they got comfortable with Pat, and they just she was almost like family. I don't think he used those words like that word family, but what he told me made me feel like they felt comfortable with her, like they were having another woman who's a family member watch look after their son. And my father also said there were many times when he's coming back to from Hastings after visiting, or even just thinking about it, even when, just thinking of me being with another woman who is mothering me, fostering me, taking care of me. He said he would ask himself, are we doing the right thing? So it got to a point where one weekend my parents would come over to Hastings, and the following weekend, Pat, my I called her my Hastings mother, and I called my biological mother my London mother. So Pat will bring me over to London for the weekend, and she got to learn about Nigeria and the food and the culture. I think that's more of what I want to say. I want to lay that foundation. I was with Pat until I was 4 years old. And then 1972, my parents moved back to Nigeria, and naturally, I moved back with them. I mean, I moved with them. You ain't even moved back. Not that I had to say, like, wait a minute. And over the years, I just saw that experience as Actually, I didn't see it as fostered. I just used to say I had a nanny. So to fast forward to maybe 2019 or maybe 2018. For those who don't know and those who do know, if you've heard this story, just listen again. Hear something different. I was living in America. I moved to America in 1993. And for the better part of 25 years, I lived in America for the better part of 25 years. There were times I moved back to UK, stayed for a year, and then came back. Stayed for a year, went back to America, and it was kind of back and forth. But most of that, from 93 to 2018, most of those years were spent in America. I got married um, here in UK, and we started a business together, and we worked together, we lived together, working together, and lived together. Woo! That has its blessings and its challenges. When we moved back to America, I think it was 2008, because up until then, I hadn't got my green card yet, or citizenship, or just green card at least, to start there. So I'm going to skip a lot in between that. In 2018, I was traveling to the Bay Area in a Greyhound bus from Atlanta, Georgia, and Border Patrol got on. I didn't know that that was a thing. Actually, around the time I was preparing for the journey, I found out that, that happens, but it was happening in Florida. So I was like, okay, I was a little bit nervous. I even reached out to a friend of mine to do some reading around it. It's like, is this really a good idea? And the reading, spiritual reading, intuitive reading, the reading came up as like, yes, this is going to move you. Because this friend of mine, we still laugh about this. It said it was going to move me closer to what I've always wanted. So, of course, I was like, yay, okay, let's take this journey. Anyway, Border Patrol got on the bus and they were walking from the front. I was sort of like in the middle and asking people, um, American citizen? Yes. American citizen? Yes. People that spoke Spanish? Go C. Yes. C. They're just going down the road. And I knew in that moment my life is going to change in a big way. And it was around the time that I started to feel at home. I felt at home in Atlanta, Georgia. I still feel at home in Atlanta, Georgia. When I think about it, it's like, oh, my God, I can't wait to go back, right? And at that time, it was also a time where I felt like my life was getting bigger. And I needed to grow with it. So I was ready to make some changes. And it was also a time when I was saying the relationship with my former wife, I just knew I couldn't do it anymore. The relationship itself, I'm not going to knock her because there's nothing to knock. There were things that I went through that were painful. There were things in being in relationship with her. There were things that she went through that was painful being in relationship with me. However, that relationship shaped me in ways that I'm grateful for. The painful experiences and the great experiences. But at this time around 2017, because let me go back a bit. We separated for a long time and then we got back together and trying to iron things out, but it just didn't work out. We had become two different people. So in 2017, I was trying to see how I could do the divorce without coming from underneath the radar. I had no idea how that was going to happen. It's like, how do I file for divorce in America when really I'm an illegal alien, illegal immigrant. I didn't know. I talked to another friend who was helping me research it. I was afraid. I was scared. 2018, on my way to the Bay Area, San Francisco, Border Patrol got on a bus and they were going down asking people if they're American citizens. People said yes, see, yes. That's all they asked. They weren't asking for documentation. But I knew in that moment for me, my life was about to change because I knew the only answer was no. It wasn't no because I was trying to do the right thing. It wasn't no because, I want to be morally right. Something in my soul was telling me, tell the truth. And I did. Now you need to find what if you want to know what happened next, then you have to wait for part 3.